information.
Right. I think the point of this collection or the UFO footage, again, UFO footage is not something that you can create on demand. You get what you get.
Yeah.
And if you're lucky, you get a very clear image.
Yeah.
And, if
and
you're
as
not,
our viewers now know, because they're veterans of 5 hours or so.
they've seen most footage than anybody else. Now we're back to, this is an interesting one because we see the docking here or getting close to the docking with the Mir space station.
And good old Mir who won't be up there
right.
much longer.
By the time people see this DVD, probably the Mir will be history.
Vaporized in the atmosphere.
But it did its job. It lasted for
much longer than any of us
14 years.
Amazing.
I think they put it in orbit in 1986. They had a couple of UFO sightings even from Mir, as we saw an earlier one. And now we'll be seeing all kinds of little lights here.
Yeah.
Again, it's possible that some of them may be the ice effect, maybe, but I don't know.
They do not fit into the realm of being stars. They're clicking along there. They do not seem to be behaving. We know what meteorites look like. They streak right past.
And they go fast.
They do.
And steady.
Yeah. These things seem to be moving at a leisurely pace. Again, we have no sense of how far away they are.
No, because that's an old problem with UFO footage or even with UFO, especially with footage of photographs, is that unless you have very good reference points, plus the sometimes you don't know. It could be and especially in space, it becomes even more of a problem.
It could be a giant thing
very
many
far away, or a very small
object
object to the camera. And especially in space, you don't even have the the dimensions that you have on a landscape. But that thing goes there, whatever it is.
Just right by.
And now what is interesting on this video, and there is some comments also on the audio track, that initially the camera is definitely focused on the Mir.
Yeah.
And that's what you would expect, because these are taken for NASA Select TV and so on. Yet, they seem to be veering now off the Mir as if they were actually filming these things.
Well, it's a conscious decision, and although we may be having a trimmed frame, there is no question that the Mir is no longer the center of attention in this footage.
Now, what is LL Willie? I don't know. Maybe
internal NASA code of some sort. Take your best guess.
I have no idea. Yeah, there's so many of these things that I think that, I don't know. My skeptical side says that maybe it is this ice effect or something.
Yeah, but
I have no way of knowing, and I don't know even all the details.
Moonbugs on a vacation.
On space. It's definitely interesting, and
once again,
it's a novelty also. This has not been shown on UFO conferences or on TV shows.
This is a pretty obscure piece of tape.
First time I've seen it. I mean, for this project.
Sure. It is, again, it makes you ask those questions of what is going on, what are we seeing, what does it represent? Unfortunately, we do not get to answer those questions in this DVD.
This is quite,
that's a pretty pronounced one.
Yeah, pretty clear, and it seems to be expanding, contracting. So
it does seem to be pulsating and moving off on a slightly changed trajectory.
Kind of a classic characteristic of UFOs.
Followed by a smaller one, then there goes another one from upper left.
Okay, we'll do that now.
It's busy out there in space.
It's a busy day there. Now, finally, you get a good view of the whole Mir.
Carlos and Jean-Francois
and Lou's family are all here in
the back room watching the whole thing. Real happy to be part of your operation.
Yeah, I'd like to see more analysis and more work done on this one.
For sure. And a really sharp oh, look at that.
Are packed fairly tightly together.
Again, it is pulsating, and again, I guess that it's possible that's a satellite, but it sure is moving at quite a speed.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Now it seems to be turning a little bit.
Yeah, which is a problem.
That's a problem for satellites. Yeah, I like to see technical people look at this, see what they come up with.
Heck?
Now it's not even moving. Yeah. That one, that could have been a meteorite.
I would say so. That really did. There you go. That one also, but slight waver.
But this one is just steady.
Yeah, and we know it's not a star because we've seen it moving around.
Now there are tons of them, which again, those maybe are ice. That would kind of be more consistent with the shuttle moved, or it's getting closer to the mirror, and it just spewed a lot of ice. But some of the other ones are still.
Now that seems to be pulsing along. That one that was disappearing out of frame right.
And certainly I don't know that it's ice. I'm just throwing it out.
Sure.
It's a possibility. Now,
once again.
Now the family is growing here.
Yes. Boy, oh boy. They're going to be controlling Mexico soon.
Yeah, the pace they're going.
Goodness. And
it's so odd, though, that
again to
we
wire
see
this
these
up
now, and yet on the videos from 90, 91, 92, nothing like this.
And again, an irony here is go back to the beginning of the first tape and look at the second or third video. You'll see a configuration much like the one we just saw.
This was one that Bruce Maccabee did, I think, a lot of analysis from here from New York State.
Again, Dr. Maccabee, optical physicist, civilian employee of the
Navy. Again, you see that they're appearing more and more.
Yeah.
So there are some, even though there are some things like those weird trucks from Israel or whatever that we completely baffles.
Who the heck knows?
But there seem to be some other patterns, though, that are quite consistent throughout these various hundreds of tapes.
Yeah,
at least
sure is.
some patterns.
Yeah.
Though the purpose and all that still eludes us.
Gosh, I'll say. The pattern continues, slight variations. It's not a dead straight line. But they're very bright.
Yeah.
They seem to be blinking.
8 in a row.
Which could be atmospheric.
The blinking, over, the atmospheric layers.
Sure.
But this kind of formation in the sky, I don't know of any natural phenomena that does that.
Hey, back to your stomping ground?
Yeah. Well, this was an interesting case. The video is nighttime, and so it's not very clear, but the circumstances are fascinating. What was going on here, Fuensalida, the president of the group ION, was doing a radio show on one of the major AM or FM stations in Santiago, and it was about astronomy. And they had an astronomer, actually. It's normally a UFO show, but that night they were doing astronomy. And as I think the astronomer actually reads a poem about something or other.
Yeah.
And then I guess they get a call from viewers. So they go to the roof of the radio station. They continue the show live, and for something like 2 hours, there's this UFO show on the sky. While people keep calling, it's being videotaped, and it's being described live by an astronomer, an ufologist, and a journalist.
Fabulous.
The quality of the video is fuzzy, but the substance
pretty extraordinary. In fact, I think that might just be a unique, completely unique situation.
Actually, it happened in Spain one time in 1979, but without video. There were only photographs taken. But it also was doing a radio show, and they went to the roof, and very similar circumstances.
Your memory is phenomenal.
This is a place in Argentina, Capilla del Monte, where there's been, it's kind of a hot spot, and many UFO ufologists go there, and contactee types, so kind of New Age people go there, and so on.
Whoa. That's impressive. Doesn't look like a lenticular cloud. Certainly doesn't look like...
No.